All right, my friends, welcome to episode 419 of Prof and Dev Play Games, the one where I discover Final Fantasy VII. My name is Larry, and I am a professor, and I play games. Over there is Anthony. He is a developer. He plays games, but he also, crucially, makes games. How are you, Anthony?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah, good.
It's been a pretty lazy weekend overall.
Awesome.
We'll get to what I've been playing, because it's mostly been that. That's my weekend.
Yeah, I know you've been playing because I turn on my PlayStation all the time and I see what you're playing.
Yeah, I stayed up exceptionally too late Friday night.
Nice.
I'm too old for doing that shit. But
oh man,
I did it anyway.
My wife goes to bed at 9:30 or 10, so I kind of nestle in about 10 o'clock, start playing. By 10:25, I'm just like falling asleep. Like, oh fuck, I got my 25 minutes tonight. Like, I don't know how people stay awake.
I've always stayed awake. It's just that it was a little bit more than I would typically do. Like normally midnight's about where I get to it. I'm like, okay, I'm too tired. I got to go to bed.
How late did you stay up on Friday night?
About 2.
Oh, okay.
Which for me is kind of insane. Like I used to do that all the time, but I didn't have anything to have to do early Saturday morning, so I just stayed up and I was like, I'll just sleep in.
Yeah.
I had some stuff to do with my kids later, like at 11, 12, we were going to go out and do stuff. But I was like, well, that's fine. That's 11 or 12. I can sleep till 9 then. And my kids are old enough where they're fine. Like, they just get up when they want to get up.
I can't wait till those days, man.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds great.
They get up, they're just like, they can do whatever they need to do. Yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there.
I'm excited that it's not going to be when my daughter's 18. It sounds like it's going to be earlier than that, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, it should be earlier than that. And the fact that you're just like, well, you're old enough. Like, if you want to get up early, that's fine. Like,
do your thing.
Do your
I'm
thing.
Keep sleeping.
Yeah. Like, if you feel like if anything's bothering you or need something, let us know. But kids just get up and do their morning stuff. My son wakes up pretty early. He doesn't get out of bed for, usually lays in bed for like an hour after waking up, just reading. That's his morning. And then my daughter sleeps later. But whatever. It's nice. You'll get there. Only like 5 more years to go.
Oh God. That's probably about right. That's fine. Yeah. I enjoy my mornings with my daughter, so it's okay. But I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, I stayed up till like 1 a.m. making music, and then get up at 8 or whatever. But now I just can't stay up. I can't imagine staying up till 1 o'clock in the morning. But I'm also getting up at 6. So
yeah,
that will do it. All right. Well, this week, boy, guess what we're talking about, folks? It's the thing everyone's talking about, and that imploded the internet this week. Everything revolving around Xbox, considering the possibility of maybe bringing Xbox exclusive games to other platforms.
I think it's more than considering. I'm pretty sure it's happening, based on the Hi-Fi Rush stuff that leaked.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no, some games are coming to other platforms. That's for certain. I don't know if it's everything, but I think the market dictates that Microsoft wants to make money, and to do that, they should bring some of their games to other platforms.
That's basically what in my head is like. Nutella, is that his name? The head of Microsoft is like, we gave you $69 billion for ABK, make money.
Yeah, we didn't do that for the hell of it, and effectively, what typically with a buyout like that, they would want to see over like a decade, well above the amount they paid in profit from that.
Yeah. And you're not going to get that by just selling it on Xboxes, unfortunately.
Not right now. I mean, we can get into that piece, being that I think it's improved a bit, but the PS5 is outselling Xbox Series S and X by like 2 to 1 right now, and it previously had been like 3 to 1. So
right.
as supply things have fixed themselves and come on online, it's corrected a bit, but it's clear that like, yeah, Xbox is going in another generation as like second place, third place. I don't know how you consider the PS4 generation with Nintendo. They kind of bridged generations.
Yeah, for me,
with the
Nintendo's
Switch,
like
it's kind
outside
of
this whole thing.
It's kind of a weird thing because the Switch was during the PS4 gen.
Okay.
So, but either way, like, I don't know if Microsoft really, they're like, oh man, we're competing against the Switch so much. I don't even know if Sony really considers them competing directly with Nintendo. Microsoft and Sony compete against each other. And 2 generations now, Microsoft has failed to compete against Sony.
They just haven't put out compelling software, enough compelling software where, for the most part, Sony has. But I still think, no matter how this shakes out, the compelling argument is you can pay $70 on PlayStation for Indiana Jones, or you can buy an Xbox and play it for free.
True.
Free. Subscription. So not
subscription.
Quite free, but yeah. So
yeah,
I just think I think that's where it's going to boil down to. That's it.
Yeah. And I think that's where they're at. We're just gonna make the money on the software. They're all in on Game Pass for the most part now, and trying for that. Although, and there's a part of me that has seeing the faltering of the movie streaming and TV streaming services. Is this really I mean, it might look nice now, but is this actually going to work out in the end? With how much you're actually going to have to charge people to probably be profitable in the end.
I think it works out for them only because people are not going to be buying Xboxes. So they're like, we're going to be giving it away in a subscription to fewer and fewer people, but selling it on every other box for a lot of fucking money.
That's true. And
I think to give away. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
30% still has to go to Steam or PS5 or PlayStation or whatever, but still. I feel bad for people who got Xboxes who are like, I'm going to get some great exclusives. You didn't really, and then you missed out on the PlayStation stuff. Whereas if you had a PS5, you'd be like, I get the PlayStation stuff, and now I'm going to get the Xbox stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely not a great place to be. And honestly, I feel like it's just the time it's taken for Xbox to recover from the Xbox One time and the gutting of their game studios before and around that time, their first party stuff. So it's just like, this is how it goes. Like, the reason why the Series X and stuff and they don't have big exclusives right now is because, well, they faltered really hard after the 360. And it takes a long time to recover. Like, look at Nintendo. It took them a long time to recover. Let's be honest.
Wii U. Yeah.
There's the Wii U, but even go before the Wii was huge, but go back even further, like Super Nintendo, like the big console war. Super Nintendo comes out, then you get PlayStation and N64, and the PlayStation just dominates that generation. Cheaper, way more exclusives because, well, the games that can be on PlayStation just cannot be on N64 at that time because of the CD having so much more space, just raw data compared to a cart. GameCube sells, I don't want to say it sold even worse because I don't actually know off the top of my head, but it didn't do good against the PS2.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, especially against the PS2.
No, like that. I mean, that's the generation it went up against.
Yep.
It had great games. It had Wind Waker. It had.
It wasn't also a PS.
Metro Prime.
It wasn't also a DVD player.
No. But I mean, Nintendo
GameCube
faltered there. Go ahead.
21 million.
How much did N64 sell?
N64 sold 32.9 million.
Yeah. Okay, it did.
So PlayStation 2 is the top console ever at more than 155 million versus the GameCube of 22 million.
Yep.
Which is still more. 21.74 million is still more than Xbox Series XS.
Yeah.
Just around the cusp.
Yep. So, I mean, even Nintendo faltering, let's say they roughly did falter at the N64 GameCube time period, compared to Sony just dominating during that time. And then they hit the Wii and went insane. Like, but it still took them multiple generations to course correct to get there.
Absolutely.
And that's where Microsoft is at. I just don't think because of the company they are, where investment is now, where companies want to be, big tech companies want to be, they just don't get the time to course correct. Because I do think that this generation, like, they would stumble through Series X, and it would be all in preparation for what they do next. To come out of the gate and be like, no, we're back. And historically, Sony had problems. I mean, they let the PS3 languish for a long time. That's how 360 got so popular there. And Microsoft was really, really strong with the 360. That generation kind of equaled out at the end. I think PS3 actually ended up selling more consoles than the Xbox 360, barely. A couple million
it
more.
Just barely, 87.4 versus 84 million.
Which is a crazy turnaround for Sony. But when going into the PS4, people were like, man, Sony kind of messed up with the PS3. And Microsoft has everything to gain going into that generation. And then they just fuck it up.
I'm looking at the numbers here. 360, 84 million. Xbox One, 58 million.
Yep.
Xbox Series XS, 21 million. It's just like, wow, that decline is
they just
steep.
messed up really hard. They had an audience with the 360. And then they really, again, Microsoft being a big corporation, just new leadership, new focus, just decimated their game studios during that time, and the Xbox division. It just wasn't considered, I don't know, like top priority. Right. And this is what happens. You get to where they are now, where it's like, wow, making consoles may not be what we want, especially if we're selling them at a loss all the time.
Yeah, what are you gaining from that? And that other than holding or retaining an audience that you hope will buy games that you set out, but then you put it on Game Pass, so that's not happening as much.
And you don't put out that many games.
And you don't.
You decimated your development studios, and now you've bought a lot more. Bought almost 70. I mean, I'll just round it up. $70 billion of studio to get things, but at that install base, you're not getting those on Xbox. Like, you're not making your money back. You gotta, which it all just logically points to, like, yeah, they're gonna put stuff out wherever they need to make back their money.
Absolutely. I want to ask you what you think you're gonna hear next week. I think we're gonna hear is like a timed exclusive for big stuff. But then stuff day and date, like multiplayer or whatever makes sense to have the broadest audience possible, kind of like Helldivers is doing right now.
Yep.
So I don't know. What do you think you're going to hear next week?
I think I'm going to hear that. I think they're going to hear that they aren't completely leaving consoles. Like, they're going to still sell some form of box to people if they want it. But I wouldn't be surprised, like what you were saying, the messaging has changed of being like, yes, this will play Xbox games, but really, this is for Game Pass. Like, you want this box because you're just going to play Game Pass on your TV. It's such a great deal. I wouldn't be surprised if they subsidize the box for Game Pass. Like, buy the box, get a year of Game Pass or something like that.
Well, that's what they did with the one that I have, where it was you bought it, and I thought it was 3 years of Game Pass, but that seems ludicrous. It's probably 1 year. But, for the box plus the year for a bundle price,
Yeah, and I could totally... A lot like old subscription bundles. I could see that being their main focus now. Shifting to that, they want people to subscribe. They want big subscriber numbers. They want Game Pass to be this huge thing. And I think it will be generally pretty big. It is a great value.
I mean, I'm happy with my Xbox because just of the value. Like, I've got every Yakuza on there right now. I was able to play Persona 5 when it launched. Like, that's a game that I'm not going to stick with long term, but I do want to like get a feel for it. And I played 5 hours. I'm like, okay, I get what this is. Tartarus is boring. Next. Sorry, I hate to offend you if you're like really into Tartarus.
I know I can find people boring. I am not finding it boring, but we'll get to that.
Really interesting. We'll get to that.
Not at all.
Okay. maybe there's some hope there. People love that game, but we'll talk about that later. But it's nice to have just like, big things coming to Game Pass. I checked out Pal World. I was like, this is cool. It runs like shit on this, so I'm gonna buy it for my Steam Deck. So it's just really nice to check out new games for low cost.
Yeah. And I'll say, shout out to Game Pass because they consistently put Astroneer like front and center for people.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah,
it's really great. We're like, well, we're going to keep renewing that contract, I'm sure, because that's just nice. So, yeah, I can't argue with the value of it, especially if you just want to use it to like browse games more than anything. If you want to use it more like I know it's not free, but a library type thing where you're like, I don't think I want to own this game, but I just want to play it.
Yep, exactly.
And then who knows, you might play a game on there and you're like, man, I really like that game. I'm just going to go buy it somewhere so I actually own it and it can't just go away.
Yeah. I could see them doing like I don't think they're getting out of console. I could see them doing like a high end kind of console because they're not looking to sell a million bajillion. Sure. But also I think honestly I would be shocked if the next generation isn't some streaming stick dongle, some fucking high res, or if not high res, fucking high end Xbox. But then the one in the middle is a fucking handheld, digital only handheld. I would be surprised if they don't try to compete with the Steam Deck. Because Sony's not right now, No,
Sony's not. Although the PlayStation portals, not portable, portals, are selling particularly well. So
well, you can't even find them right now. They're
exactly they definitely made the right amount of them. Like they planned for the expected demand and really hit it. Because I see notifications like people like, oh, it's in stock again. I'm going to go grab one. I'm like, okay. Clearly there is enough of a demand for that kind of streaming handheld. And you're right. There are other companies trying to compete with the Steam Deck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The key problem for Microsoft is they'll put Windows on it. Yeah. And Windows like handheld is terrible. Yeah. It is an awful experience. And I don't know how much Xbox can influence that part of the company to be like, hey, make it better, please. Like,
exactly.
Our whole existence requires you making this not shit.
Yes. Please, God, make this better.
And then the whole Microsoft division's like, Windows division's like, we don't care. That's not where we make our money.
Right. We're not making it for that. We're making it for the Surface Pro.
Yeah. We're making it for just, desktops and everyone that uses a computer. So I think that's the biggest hurdle that they'll have to overcome is what they decide to do. If they do it handheld, like, do they just use Windows handheld or do they have their own custom operating system?
Right.
I mean, they have the engineers. I just feel like they'll be always chasing what Valve's doing with SteamOS.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, and if they were wanting to jump into the handheld, it probably should be out by now. So maybe they won't. I don't know. I don't know what.
I feel like they want something. They're gonna have a box of some sort, and I feel like if Sony's doing this Portal thing, just a streaming handheld, I could totally see Microsoft doing a similar thing that is just like, hey, you can play all your Game Pass stuff. I mean, do they have streaming, like straight up streaming?
They do,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they're. I could see them just selling a screen with a Xbox controller. Basically,
they already kind of have that with I forget who the fuck it was. Not Samsung. LG I think has basically it's like a streaming thing for Xbox Game Pass. I would love to see them do a dedicated handheld that you could download shit to and play your Game Pass stuff on. I think that's that. I mean, I guess I'm just speaking for myself. I probably won't be buying an Xbox again. This is my last Xbox because I have a PC. And if they're bringing their stuff to other things, I don't need to buy another Xbox. But if they did a handheld that I could play my Game Pass shit on, I would probably buy it. So,
so I don't think anything. I think it's this week that Phil Spencer said that they're going to give a
Yep.
presentation or something. It's not like not expecting a fancy thing like we're showing off games type thing.
Oh,
I
hell
really
no.
think
It's
this
a
is going to be
business update.
this is a business kind of thing. So it's going to probably be pretty dry overall, but like this is what we're doing. I expect consoles are still going to be part of it in some form. I agree with you that it might just be this high-end thing that's like, yeah, for that small market that wants this. But guess what? The rest of the time, people, you can just play on PC, and then we'll be bringing stuff to PlayStation and or Nintendo based depending on the game. Could be exclusivity windows or not. I could see smaller games to be like, nah, it's available across everything all the time.
Yep.
But I mean, like the stuff that they bought with Activision, then they signed those agreements that Call of Duty, at least for 10 years, is going to be on everything.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
And their Diablo 4 is already on everything. So any expansions for Diablo 4 is just coming to everything. Overwatch is on everything. There's no new IPs happening there, as far as I know, because they just fired everyone that was working on the new IP at Blizzard. That survival game. The survival game just got canned and they're gone.
Yep.
So I'm like,
and they're like, bye.
I don't think I'm like, okay, so Activision Blizzard stuff is just already promised to every other platform to begin with. So yeah, I guess that doesn't really change. We got all the Obsidian and Bethesda stuff, but a lot of what were they saying with Bethesda? Was the rumors that Starfield is coming to PS5?
That was kind of after that's for me started off the news like, oh, Starfield might be coming. And then it was like, oh, Gears of War might be coming. The first I heard was Hi-Fi Rush, where people had data mined it and saw that they had effectively two pieces of tags. I don't know what they are. They're square pieces of art icons, maybe. And there are two in the data files for Hi-Fi Rush in the latest update that went out for it that are very clearly, one is for Nintendo Switch and one is for PlayStation. They're red and blue, respectively, and they have like slogans on them that are like, yeah, that's Switch. So that's where I first saw that, like, oh, Hi-Fi Rush is likely coming to those platforms. And then everything like next couple days just spiraled from there that I was hearing about Starfield. Oh, it was
exactly. Just like it just kept spiraling. And it does sound like I heard that. I think I don't remember who wrote the article. Maybe it was Forbes. That they intended to do this business update at the end of the month.
Yeah, I heard it from Jeff Grubb. But yeah, they intended for the very end of February, and now they've pushed it way up. Yeah,
they're just like, all right, get it leaked. Let's get
everything's on fire. Who's the fucking rat? Who's leaking this shit?
Microsoft's a huge company. Someone's gonna leak it.
Yeah.
Thousands of people probably know about this plan. So
right. Yeah.
Well, honestly, really I think they're probably pushing it closer to GDC. Would be my thought, because that's about the time when you would be talking about this for the most part. Which, speaking of GDC, I get to go. That's awesome.
Oh, you're going to GDC? Nice.
I'm going to GDC.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to go. First time I've gone in a decade. Last one I was really? 2014. Yep.
Ooh, boy. That's a long time. It's
the fun March? Thing is, March 20. Let me look at the calendar real quickly. It's the entire week of March 18th. If you do like summits and everything, I'm not doing the extra summits. I'm going to the main show, which is the 20th to the 22nd.
Very cool.
So I'll get in on the 19th and I fly out sometime on the 22nd.
Very cool.
Yeah, should be good.
I will be in New York.
Okay.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I hope that's fun.
Jelly. I'm guessing that is around the time that I would expect the first chance for Nintendo to say something about new hardware.
That makes sense, because I really thought we were going to have a direct and now the rumors are that it's going to be like a partner direct, a 3D third party direct, which it makes a lot of sense that Nintendo's not going to do another big thing for their own stuff until they're doing the Switch 2 announcement. So
yeah, and I could see that happening around GDC because some devs have Switch 2 dev kits. Those exist in the wild. And I just have a feeling like GDC is the time when they'd be like, okay, as devs, here is let's show off the new hardware.
Well, it's a great timeline too. They've been doing, I think, the 6 months until release kind of thing. So that puts it around September.
Yeah, I would think September, October, depending on how long you want to give.
Giddy. Makes me so fucking excited. Yeah. What a great year. The 2023 has continued. It's a great year for games.
It is an incredible year for games.
Once again.
But so I think Microsoft is in similar place to bring it all back around that Sega was at the end of the Saturn and Dreamcast timeframe, where it's just like, this isn't worth us to be in this hardware market. People just want our software. We can just sell the software and make way more money than dealing with trying to compete for hardware. I think Microsoft's in the same spot now. They're just like, nah, never mind, we're out. I do feel sad because it generally is pretty good when there's like strong competition, and I don't think Nintendo, Sony are really competing with each other in that way. So,
yeah, like the lack of competition is going to hurt us. That's for sure.
I mean, why did we get a PS3 the $600 PS3 launch?
Yep.
Because
exactly.
Sony wasn't worried about any competition, and they felt like they just could. The only problem was like there were other people in the market there to be like, oh, we'll see this as an opportunity and grab onto it with like the 360 and being like, we'll just make it way cheaper than a PS3.
Yes, exactly.
But at this point, I'm like, wow, if Microsoft gets out, I'm like, well, there's not really a lot of people to keep Sony in check anymore in that way. Nintendo's not making that same type of console anymore.
Right.
Which is fine. They found their niche, which is, well, if you want high def, you get something else. But if you want something that can play our games, do interesting things, depending on how you see it, you get a Nintendo console. And if you like games, you just get both.
Right, yeah. Which also kind of colors my perspective too, because like I have everything. This is great, whatever. It just sucks for people who only have the Xbox console and they're just kind of fucked.
Yeah,
because they don't get to play any cool Nintendo stuff. They don't get to play any cool PlayStation stuff, and they haven't got to play many cool things on their Xbox. So
no, you can just put all the blame back at Matrick for that.
Matrick, absolutely.
Yep, it all goes back to that dude.
This all unfolds back to 2013 when they revealed the Xbox One, and it was just like a train wreck.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we'll see. It'll be interesting this week to hear what they actually have to say with their own words. But boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. All right. Why don't we move on to what we've been playing? And I want to hear about Persona 3 because I know that.
Yeah, I'm like 48 hours into it.
Damn. You're like just halfway done, maybe.
Maybe? I have no clue. Yeah, I am loving this game so much. In a way, like I still, if you're gonna like tell me my favorite Persona games, Persona 5 is still my favorite. Mm-hmm. But this is scratching that itch so well, and it's very different than Persona 5. Storytelling wise and just theme wise, like holy cow, Persona 3 is a dark game. It's dealing with some stuff. I will say, at about 35 to 40 hours, I finally got context why they're shooting themselves with those guns.
Oh,
It's not just provocative. It's like, this is why, and why it's kind of necessary, and it's not for like a great reason. It's like, this isn't good. Like, not in a way that I think is bad, like from a like perception standpoint, but like in the game, you're like, that can't be good. The existence of these is not good. oh crap.
Interesting.
Yeah, I will say that, yeah, story-wise, it's actually a pretty... I was engaged. I've been engaged the entire time, but it's definitely a slow burn of a story, getting to know the characters and what's going on. And right around the 35, 40 hour mark is where everything just starts solidifying and ramping up real fast. Like the base is set, and you're just like, okay, we're going. I'm getting history on like the C's team, like why you just join it, and like it sounds like they've been doing stuff for a while, so you get the backstory of Mitsuru and Akihiko, and another character I don't know if you've met yet, who are like the original team that were doing it stuff like a decade earlier.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, not a decade, probably less. That's probably when they were recruited, and they started doing stuff for like 5 years before you show up. So you start getting into like, oh, there's a lot of history here, and start digging into that history. And of course, everything's connected, which is good writing. Like everything and everyone is connected in weird ways. So I am full speed ahead, just getting through this game, seeing where the story is going to take me.
So the story has completely hooked you.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the characters have hooked me. I will say the like side characters, the social link pieces, not the ones in your party. So this definitely a difference between Persona 5 and this. One, this being very much a game made in 2006 still. Like they definitely they smoothed it out, but you can play it and you're like, no, this is still a game from that era. You can still see it sometimes in the writing. There are definitely stuff I'm like, I don't think I'd put that in a game now. But sure. Yeah. I get for you, there's a whole social link about a student who's really infatuated with a teacher. Like really,
hard really,
which is a pretty tropey thing in Japan stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's not you. It's a social link, and you're just like,
oh no, I met that guy. No. I've gone.
Yeah, I'm just like, no, dude, yep. no. I've
gone
please
through
don't.
3. You meet him at the ramen shop.
Yeah.
I've met him like 3 or 4 times, and it's like, oh, you're into your teacher. No, I don't know if I want this.
I don't know if he wants it either, but either way,
it's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
There's a very sweet one where like a social link where it's like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. The optics of it are the thing that are like, huh. It's you, like one of your social links is like a grade schooler, like girl at the playground.
Oh yeah, I've seen that in a video.
You just play with her at the playground and stuff. And her parents are getting a divorce, and you try to just like let her talk to you. And like everyone's like, oh yeah, it's like her high school friend. I'm like, that's probably not like optically, like you're not. There's nothing objectionable in any of the writing of it, but it's definitely one of those things where you're just like, yeah, probably wouldn't do that in now, even in a very like that innocent way of being like, you're just helping a kid out. Yeah. And none of the parents are like, wait a second, why is a high schooler
you're hanging out with a boy that's 10 years older than you or whatever?
Yeah. So there are elements of that where I'm like, okay. But a lot of the confidants themselves are just, I'm like, where 5 was about finding these people that are being, all your confidants have storylines of like they're being oppressed by some form of authority above them, be that parents, business, all sorts of different things, but they are being oppressed because the game Persona 5 is all about oppression of either adults or higher powers to younger, and that follows through all those confidants. There's just confidants in this game where I'm like, I've finished some of them, and I'm like, you're just not good people. Like you're just not a good person. Like I don't like you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh, that's weird. Like there's a lot of just like it doesn't end on a way that you're like, oh, I got a positive outcome from this. It's like, no, you end and you're like, no, they're just a shitty person. You might help them a little bit in seeing the light of not being that bad of a person, but you don't know. It's fine. So So it's weird in that way. And you can tell that like Persona 3 is like really their first attempt at this type of game. Personas 1 and 2 didn't have the social link aspect to it. That I've read. I haven't played them. But I've heard that 3 is the one that is the modern, like 3 is where the modern Persona started. Personas 1 and 2 were much more SMT.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask if they were more SMT than anything else.
They were very much a spin-off of SMT, but it was still closer to SMT. 3 introduced the social link and like I think time management piece. I could be wrong on the time management piece, but I think that's what I read. That this was the start. So there are those, but other than that, like I am just really invested in the characters and how their stories are intertwining together. I have all the party members now, and one of the party members is amazing. I was not expecting it, and it was great.
That's cool.
And I don't know, do you care about spoilers? I don't know if you'll ever play it
No,
again.
because I will I will get back to it. Spoilers don't matter for me at all. It actually makes me more.
I got the best boy.
Oh, you got the doggy.
The dog. And the dog is a Persona user.
And it's a fucking full-fledged party member, huh?
Uh-huh.
Koromaru. So cool. Koromaru, thank you.
Koro-chan. Yeah, and it has like a whole thing on them with little angel wings as their evoker to some of their... So I'm like, this is incredible.
Does the dog shoot itself in the head?
No, it can't. That's the whole thing.
I know.
You don't actually need to shoot. And that's what I've learned going. You don't actually have to do that to summon personas. There are people that don't. And the dog doesn't.
Okay, great, perfect.
Although the dog does hold a knife in its teeth to attack.
Oh, of course it does.
Yep.
I heard a podcast where it was just like, hey, if you are asked to go walk a dog, fucking do it. Like, keep doing it. Like, whoa, I must become a party member at some point.
It's so good. It's so really ridiculous.
Cool. That's cool.
So yeah, I have all the party members. I'm level... I think I just got to level 144 in Tartarus. So we can talk about that. Like, I get how people would find it boring, but I'm like, I'm actually really enjoying like going up the levels of Tartarus overall, because none of the floors are that big, so it's really fast to go up. And they start introducing like different mechanics at different levels, so that you.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's some variation, but key thing is I like the combat in the game a lot, especially once you can use you get 4 party members. Like, it becomes that turn-based. It's a lot like Persona 5. That is the main thing that they ported back to this is Persona 5's combat system.
Right. The baton toss, the
baton passing, shifting in this. Baton passing in Persona 5 Royal actually made your attacks stronger. So you wanted to baton pass across people because it just made your party stronger and stronger and stronger as you did it. They don't do that in this. But just the tactical like nature of, okay, hit him with this, shift to this person, hit him with that, getting the all-out attacks. I find that combat system very snappy and very fun for a turn-based combat system. So I'm just not having an issue with Tartarus overall. And Persona 5 had its version of Tartarus. It had Mementos, which is inverted Tartarus, but you still had to do like 100 levels of Mementos to finish the game.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's the exact same thing. It's just you're not walking around in Mementos. You're in a cat car, driving around and ramming into shadows.
Okay. Okay.
Wild.
That's interesting.
Yes. So I am really enjoying 5. I don't know how far into the game I am, maybe half. But I definitely, there's enough threads now all happening at the same time. Like, I just need to see where this is going at this point. Train has left the station completely now, and I don't know what the destination is for this game. I just know it's probably not going to be happy because this game, just the themes of death and regret and everything are real heavy throughout it. So we'll see where it goes, but I don't think I'll have it done in the next week. I think it's going to be a couple weeks. My goal is to have it done by the 29th.
Yeah, dude. You got plenty of time until Rebirth comes out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is my goal, and I'm like, it's one of the reasons why I'm like, oh, do you want to play Helldivers? I'm like, I don't think I can take time away from something free.
Can't.
Like, I just can't. I need to finish this game. Which is fine. I wanted some big, meaty RPG, and it's given it to me. So
I'm looking forward to checking out Helldivers tomorrow with Travis. So
yeah,
we will report back.
I watched plenty of Helldivers too. Like I had it. Yeah. I had it since it released. Like when was that? Was that Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, one of those.
Whenever people could start playing it, I watched streams. Pretty much has had it on in a second monitor most days. It looks incredible, like ton of fun. And I have coworkers that have been playing. Like Friday at lunch, like a bunch of coworkers, I think formed 2 full parties and we're just playing and reporting back. They're like, "Yeah, this is a blast." Just chaos.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that, and I mean, there's a good chance I'll have to pick it up for work and just investigating kind of like, okay, what's it doing in this co-op multiplayer space? Like, what makes it so special?
Right.
But we'll see. I'm waiting to see if people at work continue to play, and if they do, then I'll probably need to do it. So
yeah, it's interesting. Just thinking of it as a game as a service. I haven't touched it yet, but when I do, I'll probably think the same thing. But just you kind of can see from the beginning, like if it has legs. Like I'm comparing it to Foamstars, which are both kind of PlayStation releases this week, really. I played Foamstars.
Justice League.
Oh god, yeah. I was not thinking of Justice League just because I think of that as a single player game. But you're right, it's not. It's a multiplayer game. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, same vein. Where within a week you're like, this is gonna last or this is not. And Suicide Squad doesn't seem like it's going to. Foamstars doesn't seem like it's going to. But I've been playing a couple games. I've been playing this week. One is Foamstars. I played probably for an hour and a half or so. It is rough in that there's some fun to be had, and I had some fun eventually. But the readability of the screen is really hard. You shoot foam and the foam can build up, so there's like peaks and valleys in the foam, so like the play field is kind of, it's not like Splatoon where it just paints the ground, so you still see the texture or you still see the contour of the ground. It covers stuff up, and it's kind of hard to see where people are. And when you foam them up, you basically shoot them enough with foam that they roll into a foam ball, and then it just gets lost with the foam. So then you have to slide into them to kind of like, it's called chill them, but basically to knock them out of the round, and they come back. And it's just it's chaotic visually, and then when you get knocked out, you get knocked out, and it's like 10 seconds to sit out. And then you come to the ramp that brings you back into the playing field. Then you sit on top of the ramp for a couple seconds, and then you slide down the ramp for a couple seconds. So it's really like a long time to get back in. So the flow of like your momentum is really killed. Had a few matches that I won, which was really fun. But after you play a match, you get kicked back to your little hub world and have to hit the touchpad button to go to the multiplayer button to select which multiplayer you want. There's no re-queuing. You have to go through the whole motion again.
Oh, fun.
It's really, there's so much friction to the game. And I think I might just be an idiot, but via a PlayStation app with the PlayStation Stars, if you get 3 trophies in Foamstars, you get some sort of collectible. I'm like, well, I unlocked 2 of the 3 trophies, so I'll keep it installed till I get the last one to play in the last mode. And it's like, where is the last mode? Where is this particular version of Foamstars? I cannot find it, and it may just be me, but it's just not great.
Sure.
So, reminds me of Destruction All Stars, where it was like came out and I played it for like a day or two, and I was like, this is not that fun. So that sucks for them. Another one I played this week. I wanted to pull it up. I got my watch list on our Fantasy Critic. I played it today. I played from the Steam Next Fest. I played the demo of Tales of Kenzera Zhao. Do you remember that from? I think it was Game Awards. Tales of Kenzera, Kenzera, and then
oh
Zhao,
sure, yeah, I know this one.
Yeah, so it's the voice actor from who plays Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. It's a studio that he either co-founded or is heavily involved in. But it's Metroidvania in like an African setting with really great writing. Like I was really impressed with I played just a 45-minute demo where you're kind of like going through the landscape, meeting someone who's going to give you powers, and then things go wrong and you fall down into the earth and you have to try to get back out. It's a Metroidvania, but the way that the powers they give you in this Metroidvania are more interesting, at least in this demo. Maybe it doesn't start off this way, but you already have the dash. You have two different, for lack of a better term, ability spheres, maybe. You have sun power and moon power that you can switch by hitting left bumper. And when you switch it, then you have two different attacks. One's like a close brawler or melee attack, and one's kind of a bit of a more ranged attack. And some of them are on timers. And then you have the dash that you can go through. The dash helps you go through waterfalls. Eventually you get a power that lets you freeze water, that you can climb back up the waterfall by doing wall jumps. There's some really interesting ideas in terms of abilities that are not the same kinds of abilities you see from most Metroidvanias. There's like a really interesting twist on that. I don't know if it was all pushed into a demo to kind of show you some cool stuff, and maybe it's a lot slower. But honestly, I really, really enjoyed the writing. It was not, I don't know how to explain it, but it wasn't tropey. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. It wasn't tropey at all. It was really like what I expected to happen based on like, folklore or mythology or whatever, because that's kind of the bent that it's going towards. You're a shaman who's trying to like rescue the soul of your father, basically, and you're going to do these deeds for the god of death, basically. But it was very different from what I expected based on that premise, and it was pretty cool. And there's a nice tension between the main character and the god of death, and the god of death is kind of like, you're an asshole. You're doing things for yourself. You're not helping people around you. Like, what kind of person are you? Blah blah blah. And it's kind of a nice tension there. So I enjoyed it. It was 45 minutes. What you're looking at is kind of pulled back too far. I wish it was zoomed in a little more. Like you can really see a ton of the landscape, a ton of the world, and you're very small and a little blurry. Which I hope is just demo. It'll get fixed. It's supposed to release in April. But it ran fine on Steam Deck. It was pegged to 45 frames for everywhere except for like 2/3 of the way through. It started and probably lasted until I was probably 10 minutes away from the end. It dropped down to like 12 frames and was just stuck. It was stuck at 12 frames. And playing a Metroidvania where like high speed combat is the thing at 12 frames sucked. So there's some performance issues that I hope they get cleared up. So those are two different things that I played this week that are smaller things. The big thing I played this week, and I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I downloaded it. I do not know why I started it. But I downloaded Final Fantasy VII Remake and fucking fell in love with it. And I started it. I started it like 2 years ago, and I played just the first chapter where you beat the scorpion. Yep. And I never came back to it, and I don't know why. I cannot believe how great this game is. The writing, the characters, like I really love the characters. They just are so interesting to me. And I love what's happening with, trying to shut down the Mako reactors to save the world and whatever else. It just makes a lot more sense to me than when I played Final Fantasy VII up through the open world part or played Remake last time. And I peripherally understood that Tifa's a character. Obviously, she's in Final Fantasy VII. I've seen her fucking Polygon, whatever. And I know I've seen her character model in like artwork for this game. Yeah. But I didn't pay too much attention until I started playing, and holy fuck. She's a very hot character. They went full hot with her. But she's also like she's hot, so that's engaging, obviously. But she's a fucking really well written character and a badass. Oh my god, dude! I love playing as her and fucking uppercutting people. It's fucking great.
I mean, she has always been that. You're definitely, I don't know. My wife would go into the fact of like, oh, Japanese games of that time, because you always had Tifa and Aerith, and they do kind of fall in the tropes of the, oh, let's draw character design, the like, honestly super horny character design.
100%.
Like,
yep.
Tifa's very covered up overall. It's not in that same vein, I would say, as like something more
it's like
modern.
Not like cleavage or anything like that.
Yeah, but you're like, no, this is a very hot design, this character. And then you have the very like virginal Puritan style of Aerith.
Yeah.
And like that was like such a Japanese trope in games and anime for so long. And it's still kind of there. It's diversified a bit more. But you're like, yep, those are the two. Although you haven't met Aerith yet.
She gave Cloud the flower.
Sure. Yeah, that initial thing. But like really, when you talk about the characters, like the characters I enjoyed when I played 7, of course, back in the day. But I think Remake does justice to the characters far more than little super polygony characters with very limited text speech does.
Yeah, for sure. It matters when it's like the mocap, maybe not mocapped, but whatever, like the really expressive character saying things versus a polygon.
Yeah, and the thing is they just added way more dialogue. Like there's much deeper characterizations in Remake. You spend way more time with these characters at like a much closer level.
But the writing gets you there quickly. Like before Tifa even came on the scene, like I liked Jessie before, but this
Jessie's
time
awesome.
even more so. I was like, I love this character.
And Jessie didn't get lines in 7. She only got a few lines in original 7. Like it was like those were some of the big characters. Jessie, Biggs, maybe. Wedge. Their roles are such expanded on in Remake, and they just make them such cool characters. Man, I really like those characters so much.
Well, they do such a good job. The writing does such a good job of getting me to like the characters almost immediately. Cloud took me a little bit to kind of understand what his thing was, and now I'm like, okay, I get it. And I kind of like him now. I think of all the voice actors, Cloud's voice actor is the least. I like it the least. I don't know if it's less expressive on purpose. He's very aloof and just like, whatever, give me my money. Kind of doesn't really care, but.
No, that's just Cloud. Okay. That's always been Cloud, even in like Advent Children and things like that, where he has been voiced and kind of been given that. Like, Cloud was the start of the Final Fantasy gruff male protagonist. Definitely went in 8 as well, with Squall being like just express, please. Like have an emotion, please.
That's kind of what I'm feeling with Cloud, and I think there's a little bit there.
They get there. That's the thing with them. Like that is one thing, these games, like you're meant to spend a lot of time with these characters and watch them grow and change, and they do grow and change. They go through their arcs. And that's great, and that's fun. That's why these games probably are endearing to so many people for so long.
Well, it's certainly been a story. I sat and watched Travis play this game forever and bored the fuck out of me, but I watched anyways because I didn't really play those kind of games, and I was just like, God, you're just grinding battles over and over again. This is, ugh. But the story has been around for so long that I know there's something there, like culturally, in terms of like video game culture that I need to know. That's why I picked up 7 when they did. It wasn't a remake; it was a remaster or whatever it was, where it like did like 3 times speed and whatever else. So I was like blazing through and kind of getting a feel for it, but it didn't hold me.
I can see that.
This one, and I remember why I did it now, because the previews or whatever of Rebirth came out and people were just stoked. I'm like, okay, I got a month. I own this game. maybe I could finish this game in enough time to like jump on the train, because I missed it with Yakuza. Like maybe I can jump on the hype train and get there. I don't know if I will, but I've just been enjoying it.
Yeah.
So, and I know Zach's a big character that he wasn't before. So I picked up Crisis Core. It's on sale on Steam. I was like, all right, that's a 13-hour game. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm very.
Did you play Crisis Core?
Nope.
Yeah.
I've actually haven't played any of the 7 spin-off games. So there's Crisis Core, and then there was the Vincent, the spin-off game.
Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah. I haven't played those. But I thought about getting Crisis Core at this point. I know the story of Zach and the whole thing. Like, it's not... I don't know. It clearly is going to probably be more important into the rebirth stuff going on, but I don't know how much it will be necessary how much that will actually be explained in those games, and Crisis Core will be necessary.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I hope that you can continue to get through it, because there are just some absolutely incredible moments in Remake. I adored that game, and it's not a game you grind in. There is no real grinding.
Thank God, man.
And I think you can do a little bit if you want to, but that's just not how the game is designed.
Well, there's some side quests I'm doing in. I think I'm in chapter 3 right now. When you first get to the town or whatever, the slums. I mean, and I'm like finding myself wanting to do them because there's nice little story beats.
Yep.
And I cannot help but compare this to Final Fantasy 16, where I have 10 hours left of 16, and I know that I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm having a hard time connecting with the characters. And for some reason, I'm connecting immediately with these characters. And I think it's maybe because of Jill just feels so flat and lifeless.
Sure.
You don't really have. Once Sid was out of the picture, it was just like, oh man.
Yeah.
I like Clive, but I don't know, man. This is just instantly just like, oh, this is a fucking classic, and I can tell.
Yeah. And then I watched. I assume you didn't watch the Rebirth State of Play.
I did not. That's right.
Okay, that's fine. I don't think you want to be spoiled on things if you're playing right now. But I did watch the Rebirth State of Play, and I came out of that just being like, yeah, I'm hyped. I am ready. But I'm also in a way that I was just like, I watched it with my kids, and they saw most of Remake. Not all of it, but pieces there. And they like definitely saw the last chunk of Remake, and they're like all in. They're like, what's going to happen next? Like, we want to know. But we watched through the Rebirth State of Play, and the only thing that came out at the end there, I'm like, I can't believe I live in a day and age where a game looks this good. Like, Remake looks good. Rebirth looks better. Like,
is Rebirth still UE4?
Yes, but it's only targeting PS5.
Right, that's true.
It's not trying to be cross. Like, and they talk about that in the Rebirth State of Play, being like, hey, we don't have to make it run on both. We can dedicate it to PS5 and the SSD and super high fidelity. And I just look at it, I'm just like, I can't believe I live in a time in a game that can look, sound, and play as smoothly as this game. And it's Final Fantasy VII. To start from these little stupid polygon characters from the mid-90s to what they look like now and just gameplay. I'm just like, this is insane. I don't know. I'm like, the game looks, just from a visual standpoint, looks incredible.
Well, if I, remember correctly, because obviously I heard people talking about the state of play on like Kind of Funny or whatever. Sephiroth, you could never control him in Final Fantasy VII, but in Rebirth you can, I believe. Yeah,
they're gonna do it's a flashback segment. That's in.
Okay.
That's in Final Fantasy VII. That they're just with everything that they're doing in the remake trilogy is they're taking the stuff that's already been there and just revamping it, changing kind of things how they play out specifically. I mean, for story reasons, but also for like, hey, we want to more invest players into this and we can do it. So yeah, you get to play Sephiroth. I have the demo downloaded. I just need to find some time to play it because I really want to go through that segment, and see how they decided to interpret what was in the original Final Fantasy VII into Rebirth in that way.
Well, he shows up a lot so far in Remake, just in the
yeah, he doesn't show up in the original game. He doesn't show up that much.
No, I don't remember him showing up very much.
Really,
at all.
he eventually shows. There's a
in
couple
the
points
motorcycle scene, isn't he in that one? Or is he not? Is he in the motorcycle scene?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope. A lot of Midgar, he's you don't see him in Midgar that much. You get at the end of the Midgar thing in FF7, there's a point when you're in Shinra's tower and you come down like hallway and like everyone's just been murdered. And you're like, who the hell did this? And that's kind of like where you like, oh, Sephiroth was here. And did all this crap. But he was very much a big bad that like you saw what he did, but not him so much. Until a much later reveal of being like, oh, there he is. That's what's going on. But Remake trilogy is playing with all that. And someone's even stated, and I think I stated in the podcast before, I'm like, it kind of Remake is weird because it's clearly is a remake of Final Fantasy VII, but it also feels somewhat like a sequel as well.
Right.
And I think by the end of this whole thing, and I don't know if I put money down on this, but I'm thinking that the third game is going to be called Reunion.
But the Crisis Core is called Reunion.
Oh, is it? Well,
it is. The subtitle is Reunion of Crisis Core.
I could totally see them still using Reunion though. I feel like it's going to be an R word, and Reunion's
it will be for sure. Yeah,
is very important. Too. So I guess they did use it there. Maybe they won't then. Revolution. No. There's gotta
be some where like the prefix is like re.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's why I felt like Reunion would be the thing.
Yeah.
But
it's
good,
man.
I'm glad. I'm shocked that you're playing it now. I'm like, oh, okay. But
I can't believe it. I was like, I want to check it out. Maybe I'll get into it. Whoa, I'm way into it. Like, I went from having no interest at all in having a Cloud and Sephiroth amiibo to I need to buy these fucking amiibo before they're gone. So I'm just this feels like one I will finish this month. I'm excited to get back to it right now. I'm gonna get through the Helldivers intro tonight, so I'll be ready to play with Travis tomorrow night, and then flip over to Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was trying to do a chapter a night, but man, I'm 25 minutes. I'm like asleep on the couch, so it's rough. But last night actually I played for about an hour and a half, so I played for quite a bit last night. But oh well. So anyway, yep, that's where I'm at. I'm playing old games, which is great. Very excited about that, and we'll see what happens with Xbox this coming week.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, thanks for listening. This is episode 419 of Prof and Dev Play Games. If you like us, please rate us on your podcast service of choice. Tell your friends, and we will be back next week to recap all that Xbox shit. I don't know if Nintendo is going to get anywhere near this week, but who knows?
No, I think they'll be like, nah, it's cool. But it's Nintendo. They'll do whatever they want to do.
They will, for sure. All right, folks. See you next week.
Later, everyone.